Welcome, welcome everyone to November's Art Talk. We're so glad that you can be here with us today and you could make it. Today's special guest is our very own KISMA Reidling. There she is. KISMA's roots are deeply submerged in a creative soul. She cannot stay away from creating for as long as it is truly who she is. She loves working in layers, lots and lots of layers. And as we shall see, KISMA is also made up of many different artistic layers. She says of herself, "I am your typical artist of all trades." KISMA has a lot of experience with immersive virtual 3D and digital creativity. She is a published author of 9 nonfiction books, 8 novels, a deck of tarot cards, 3 oracle decks, several calendars, chapter inclusions in 2 anthologies, and over 45 magazine articles, including Art Journal magazine. Recently, she has opened her Bohemian Gypsy boutique online, which is filled with gorgeous clothing that is made with fabric using her own art. KISMA says her studio sometimes becomes a laboratory in which she dives into curious tries that can turn out quite lovely. She says that undergoing challenges stretch us and help us grow as artists. As anyone who has taken a class with KISMA can attest to, she's dedicated to the efforts of assisting women to awaken and flame the inner fire of creativity into full expression. She says, "Bottom line, I'm just your normal creative soul." KISMA lives in Newport Beach, California, where she can be found in her studio creating, teaching Zoom art classes in Twitch TV, sometimes writing, and at some point playing Elder Scrolls online. She loves taking walks with her husband, Jack, and can often be found walking on the beach with him and their spoiled puppy, Gracie. Let's welcome KISMA. There you are, KISMA. Nice to see you today.
Hi, Lauren. It's nice to be here. It's odd. It's weird. I have to say that. I think you need to tell them how this happened.
Oh, okay. Well, we had all our artists lined up until Christmas, and then someone backed out, and we were saying, who are we going to get to fill that spot at this late moment? And one night I just woke up in the middle of the night and I said, it's got to be KISMA. So that's how it came about. And I asked you, and after a lot of hemming and hollering, you agreed, and that was wonderful.
Yeah. My initial response was no, no. But yeah, Lauren talked me into this. So I'm here. Thank you for wanting to do this, Lauren. I'm just really honored. I feel honored, actually.
Yeah,
I feel honored. So
that's great.
yeah.
So let me start off with the first question. Tell us about your artistic journey.
My artistic journey.
Artistic journey.
Which one?
Well, maybe tell us a little bit about how you started off, if you started off as a child, if you started off later on in life. How did it all come about?
Okay, well, I would say my artistic journey, I used to draw as a kid at kindergarten. I used to do little girls with, flip curls, our typical, but they weren't stick figures, they were actual figures.
Mm-hmm.
And I was probably 7 or 8, maybe 9, maybe 9. And playmates used to come at recess, and everybody wanted one. All the girls wanted their doll. And so some of them, for a little while, they would line up because I couldn't get through everyone. It would take me, I'd get through maybe 1, maybe 2 in a recess. So that was kind of my first, but I didn't think of it as art or that I was an artist, just that my friends liked my dolls. So I'd say um, because of that, that's probably my earliest. And my art hasn't changed much. I'm still very much a child artist. I mean, what I do still has that child cartoonish look to it. So, uh, yeah.
Fun.
uh, I uh, I aspired to be the next Joni Mitchell because I learned to play guitar at the age of 13, and all the songs I wanted to sing were hers or Joan Baez. Long story short, I did ceramics in high school. I painted. I began doing watercolors in high school, singing in high school, clothing designer. I thought I wanted to become a fashion designer, a writer. I've written all my life since age of 7 when I had How to Get a Gorilla to Love You, won a first prize, and was shown for a summer at the city hall. So I don't know. I think it's just who I'm a creative. So yeah.
Right.
I'm a,
Right. Yeah, yeah. Well, you certainly lead a creative life now. You do all kinds of different things. What does living a creative life mean to you?
Living a creative life means really honestly just my life. I don't even think of it as living a creative life. I just think of it as living my life.
So just your everyday, what you do.
It's
It's
what
just
I do.
who you are and what you do.
It's who I am. It's what I do. I over the years, I've had many different studios set up. And
Mhm.
my current studio, of course, is an art studio.
Yeah, we see that behind you now. We see your art studio.
Yeah, my stacks of canvases piling up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like a very inviting space to be creative.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, what have been your artistic influences?
Well, I'd have to say, first and foremost, it's the ocean.
Okay.
No matter what type of creativity, I've always, I live at the beach. I've always needed to live near the beach. So I that's where I gain my inspiration from. My ideas come through that energy, that flow, my
Right.
the artists who have inspired me, um well, there have been a few. I mean, I'm not a degreed artist, so I didn't go to university into art programs and get degrees as an art historian or art teacher. That never drew me. I went for dance and music. So that was the venue that I got my degrees in, right? And as a English major, second, that was my, okay. Um, I have always truly loved, and I just went, Georgia O'Keeffe.
Okay.
I've always been attracted and loved her work because it's so big and focused.
Mm.
Um, and then I've taken some art classes. I studied watercolors for several years with a local watercolor artist. Her name was Terry Gammon. Beautiful, just incredibly creative, and really knew her watercolor stuff. And I wanted to get into that. I actually met her at the art studio that I later began teaching mixed media art classes and art journaling classes. Um, and then, of course, I, like so many other women during the pandemic, got involved with Color of Women with Shiloh Sophia because it was online, and Connie Solera is my mentor. I'd say my art mentor because she has such incredible insight and wisdom. So I'd say those are my 3 live artists. Georgia O'Keeffe, my artist inspiration.
Mm.
Yeah.
Maybe you could show us a couple of pictures of your messy art class.
My messy art class, that just happened.
That was intriguing to me.
Yeah, it was fun. I'll tell you, I'm setting it up here and I'll tell you how that came about real quick. Let me make sure I'm on Zoom. How that came about was okay, here we go. I hadn't taught live classes in my home studio, my private studio, for quite a number of years, since lockdown, since the pandemic, right? And of course, I no longer teach live at the studio because it went out of business and it is gone. So I decided I wanted to do, this is my art portfolio on the website. So messy art right here. So I decided to do, and I interchanged this between messy art and message art, MSG art. So, because it always has messages in it. These are just a few of them. But the whole idea behind the messy art is truly just taking some choice words or an affirmation and then mixed media technique. But the main difference, and of course, here's my Joni Mitchell. I am a woman of heart and soul, because I got to bring Joni into everything. But I'm going to stop sharing already. But for the class, we worked on little 8x10s. But I called it messy art because I was reaching out to my local community. And I knew that my local community might have women who are creative, but at the same time, not artists or don't think of themselves as artists. And I wanted to demystify it. So I used the term messy art and I threw away paintbrushes. So their tools were their fingers. They had to use their fingers and all the application, everything, and only 2 to 3 paint colors. And then of course, a lot of different collaging. Here's the one I made just recently because I've been invited to be in a conference and I'm doing the MSG art and it's all going to focus on peace. So in every single piece that will be in that show, that virtual show, they'll each have the word peace in them. So that's the whole concept of messy art, taking whatever you have around you, choosing 2 to 3, a palette of 2 to 3 of your favorite colors, the colors that make you smile, and then sitting down at the table and, getting messy. Literally.
Yes.
Literally.
That's great. So just you talked a little bit about that the messy art was for a lot of people who were kind of beginners and just starting out and not really thinking of themselves as artists. What would you say to a beginning artist?
Well, there's so many things to say to beginning artists. First of all, we're all artists, and I use that word in a non-professional way because everybody thinks if you say I'm an artist, that means you're a professional and you're out there showing and you're out there selling your art. But you know what? Everyone is an artist. Everyone is creative. We all prove that as children. There is, I would say, probably 99.9% of all people born are creative. They're an artist. They paint, they finger paint, they color, they scribble, they dance, they write little stories, they sing, some learn to play an instrument.
Yeah.
And artist needs to be applied loosely because artist does not just belong to painters.
True.
There's a major spectrum that the word artist governs. And underneath it, there's all these, It's that umbrella, you know, it's at the top of the umbrella, and here's all these spokes of the umbrella and
Yeah.
all these different activities. So
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting, I think. People have to look at them, see themselves as artists, even if it's beginning artists, you know, they're still some kind of an artist.
yeah, because you know, I mean, art um, is subjective, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know, I mean, there's so many definitions, and you can get boxed in. You can get so boxed in um, to those definitions and qualifications, and I think that really cripples people's creativity
Yeah.
if they buy in if they buy into those rigid boxes. So
Yeah.
I say
Yeah.
throw those boxes away, rip them up, and get messy.
Use your fingers.
Use your fingers.
Yeah.
It'll
Yeah.
liberate you.
One thing that you said, I think it was on your website, is that you paint what you see inside. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah. Um, I it takes a lot of effort for me to duplicate a real image out there. I can do it. Anybody can do it if you're willing to give that kind of time. Um, but I've always kind of been a fantasy person. I live in the clouds. Here's a secret. Until about the age 10 or 11, I thought my life was a musical. That's how messed I don't know, is that messed up? That's how weird my mind thought. And so I would break into song, you know,
Yeah.
I'd break into song. Um, but so I forgot your question, but
No, paint what you see inside.
oh yeah, thanks. I do
Yeah.
that a lot. I spiral out. Paint what I see inside. To me, it's because it's a self-expression. Um, I think when I really began a traditional art practice of painting or drawing or even doodling, which has now become a major thing, it was in my diaries. It was in my personal journals and my travel journals, and so I used it to express what I was writing about, not illustrating my journals, but just it's like sometimes the words couldn't match what I was actually feeling or experiencing because of that fantasy quality, because I see worlds, I see things that aren't there. And so I would write, I would draw, I would paint and color. Um, so you know, that's a whole genre today, right? Intuitive art. We call it intuitive art,
Right.
and that's painting what you see inside.
Yeah.
So when I came across that as a formal art form, I went, oh well, I've been doing this my entire life.
Oh,
And so yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. So that talked a little bit about your creative process, but let's look at the phases of creative process. So you've said before that as artists, we gather, we create, we share, we document, we reflect, and we even undergo an integration process. So using these or others, can you tell us about your creative process and the phases you tend to work with?
Well, I think I work with all those phases interchangeably.
Mhm.
So for the most part, um, I'm not a planner of my art, meaning I don't go, oh, I'm going to go into the studio today and I'm going to start a canvas and I'm going to sketch the beach, and it's got to be sunrise, and I'm going to use these colors, and it must have seagulls, and it may be a flock of pelicans flying in the background, and maybe a surfer or two in the water. I'm not pedantic like that with the composition of my art.
Right.
I just go into the art studio and I go, what do I feel like? Do I feel like working in an art journal or on a substrate canvas or an art board, right? Or do I feel like doing a smash book? Mixed media. And so I just tend to look around because I have 3 different art stations, and then my easel. If I'm working on a canvas, I have an easel up there, so I have 4 art stations, and I tend to rotate, but I just free form. The most I plan out is if I decide I'm going to do a mixed media piece, is I go through stash and pull out what attracts me, and then I put that stash away, and then I go through that pile again and sort into ephemera, middle ephemera, focal point potentials, and then as I begin, I pick and choose from them. So my process tends to be a little organized, but it just flows one to the next. And I never know really, truly what the finished product is going to look like. None of us do. But I always start with an intention. I do always start with an intention. So when I came across an art group that tried to register the term intentional creativity, it's like, well, wait a minute. I've always worked with an intention, but everybody, if you get it first, it's yours. But so yeah, I've always worked with some type of an intention.
Yeah, sort of guided by what you feel drawn to that day.
Yeah, what I've been thinking about, what I've been, if I've had a paradigm shift, if I've had one of those aha moments, or if I'm dealing with something critical in my life, because we all do it. And I need to figure out how to overcome it and maybe move through it. That's what my smash booking's for. But
Yeah,
I'm
interesting.
not sure I sink permanently in any one of those phases, because I once read, I forget who wrote this, so thank you whoever wrote this, something about and this has to do with art journaling. It's not about the finished page, it's about the journey, the process.
Yes.
And I think that's what it is. So, and just so y'all know, we're going to go into a 40, I think a 40-second or a minute, up to a minute commercial, starting in just 20 seconds. So don't go away. Go to the bathroom if you want to. If you're a subscriber, you can sit here and chat with us. Just let us know in the Twitch chat box.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we'll see you. We'll see you in about a minute.
Great.
Okay. Here comes the incoming ad break.
That was very smooth, KISMA.
Yeah, that was smooth, huh? Yeah. I did find that. So
I'm going to just piggyback on what you were saying and talk about that, things you were drawn to do, and about your transformation project, about transforming old canvases into new. So
okay.
maybe we get that set up to show.
Okay, I'll do that right now.
And you can do that process. Most people think that their pictures are so precious they don't want to cover them up. So
our ad break ends in 30 seconds, just so you know. I'll have a quick drink of water.
Yes. That's going to bring us up to about the halfway point.
Yeah, when we come back, I'll do a
Switch ad. Yeah.
Okay, 10 seconds. Hello, hello, hello. Okay, ending in 4, 3, 2.
Okay, we're back from our ads, and just to build a little bit on what you were talking about, KISMA, you said you tended to work on things that you were drawn to. And one of the things I know that you were drawn to at one point was to reimagine some canvases and to rework them and do something on top of them. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about that and show us your images.
Okay. Yeah. I in 2022, the beginning of 2022, I didn't know what I wanted to do that year. Every year I sort of have a type of a focus of something I'm experimenting or working on privately. And you know, everything today or right now currently always goes back to the pandemic. It goes back to the lockdown year, doesn't it? And that lockdown year, I was slotted to be in 2 different exhibits, 2 different local exhibits. And so I had created a body of work that was going to be divided over those 2. So I had this stack. I found that I had this stack of canvases that I had painted and selected for it. And they were just sitting there, you know, because I don't know how a lot of exhibits, they don't want old things. They want current things that you've painted. So the dating becomes imperative. And I tend to date the back of all my canvases. Mistake, I don't know. But anyways, so I decided to take, and I'm going to share my desktop because that's what you want me to do, right?
Would be
And
great.
I decided, oh wait, I guess I have to. I decided to, let me get it up here, do what was called a year of transformation, a transformational project. So I looked at and I counted 10 canvases that I was no longer interested in. They didn't move me. They didn't talk to me anymore. So I worked on, I created the old canvas transformation project. And here's a sample of 3 of the recreated. So I videotaped this. So this is all on YouTube. All of the not. I ended up doing 9 of them, but I took them and I, on camera, showed the existing painting. And on camera, I wiped it out with gesso. And then I began creating a new image. And I probably did 1 a month. There were a couple that took me several months, but they were all different shapes and sizes, all different focuses and processes. Some came easy, some came really hard. These I call my 3 favorites. And this one, the middle one, the little flower-haired girl, I have her on my cafe portfolio that curators look at. And she has appeared on the front cover of several art magazines and been actually curated into shows, which I have found really interesting. So yeah, I think place, yeah, see, right here, I actually have the viewing of the video archive for this process, but I found it to be really cathartic. because I learned that it wasn't about attachment to my art. And there were some people when they saw what I was doing, indirectly were saying, "No, don't ever wipe out your art. Oh, don't ever paint over your art. You're not an artist if you paint over your art, you know." And that's cheating. And I heard some pretty interesting comments. And again, it was always in group environments, indirectly said, I took it as an indirect comment to me because I was very, very active in this project and everybody knew about it. Any art group that I was involved in was very aware because I was sharing the videos. I got another one done because they were short little videos, you know. But I learned non-attachment, and that I worked with a mantra called from the 80s that we did in the goddess movement, you know. She touches everything she changes everything she touches, and everything she touches changes. Change us, touch us, change us. And I applied that at the so that's what I would chant as I stood in front of that painted substrate and laid my hands on it and went, "Are you ready? I'm letting go of you." And then painted over it with gesso. Yeah, so I'm happy. I'm very happy that I allowed myself to experience it, because what I saw was also evolution from in my creativity. And only a couple of them did I not gesso out.
Mm-hmm.
But actually incorporated elements of the pre-existing painting into the new painting. And that was fun too. That was really fun.
Yeah,
So,
that's different.
yeah. Yeah.
This is
And
I would think, eh? It's
huh?
very freeing.
I was totally liberated.
Yeah.
And what it did for me, which I think is probably the most important thing, is I got to own my art. I got to say, this is my art, and I don't care if anybody has a problem with what I'm doing or suddenly calls me not an artist, because this is about and for me, not you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
And,
great.
yeah.
That's
And I think we need to do that as creatives.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So.
Now we're about just after the halfway point, Kisma. Would you like to do your what you have to say about Twitch TV?
Oh, yes. Hi, everyone. This is our commercial. As you know, some of you are watching this through the website on my live stream page, which is a kind of just a sit back and watch without any interaction, which is fine. But for those of you who like to be involved, if you come on over to my Visionary Artist Path Twitch TV channel, then it becomes more of a community oriented process. And for those of you who follow, you get alerted when I go live artistically, creatively, because I do free FREE art classes on Twitch. On Thursdays I do in the studio, in the art studio. So that means later today I'll be in Twitch working on something. And then on Sundays I do Art Journal Sundays. And then of course we do our art talk once a month here. And it's a free venue. And for those of you who do want to subscribe at a big $4.99 a month, you get invited into Zoom. Not every session, but I do a private Zoom event just for the Twitch subscribers. And also you're invited to come in when I do have Zoom open and I'm doing a Twitch class. And what that allows you to do is be in the Zoom with maybe other creatives, and you all can talk amongst yourself. I mute you out. You still see my Twitch, you still see what I'm doing, and you hear my voice. And then I stop every now and then, and I come and I look and I see what everybody's doing, and we comment and we share. And then when Twitch goes, when I go off the air, then I sit down and I answer any very direct questions, or we do a show and tell. And that's starting to happen. That's only happened a few times, but it is starting to happen. And so I really, really appreciate it. So, and it's very easy. It's very easy. All you do is set up your Twitch account, which is free. If you have an email address and a password, you're in. They'll ask you if you want your own Twitch channel, and you just say no, you know, or you just ignore it. You don't set it up, but you can come in. And I got to tell you, Bob, there's a Bob Ross channel here. So it is not an unknown entity or venue. So, so thank you for tuning in, Twitch viewers. And don't hesitate if you have any questions, just pop them right there in the chat, and I'll answer you.
Okay. That's great. Thanks for that, Kisma.
Thank you.
One thing that you had mentioned, again, I think it was on your website, that everyone has a powerful soul calling to deliver in this life. Can you say a little more about that?
Yeah, we're all sentient beings, right? And we all have a soul. We're all soulful people. Even the hardened core criminal has a soul and has soulful meaning. Why do I bring them in? Because a lot of people who get incarcerated get to meet their soul, and a lot of them end up meeting their creative soul, and it can change them. So for those of us who are very lucky and we're walking around in our lives, you know, taking time to be with yourself, because it's okay to be alone. When you're alone with yourself, that's when your creativity can come out. That's when your soulful creative expression can come out, because you're doing it for yourself, nobody else. It's nice to be in classes, right?
Yeah.
It's nice because we learn maybe a technique. We go to a class and we, you know, the teacher's demonstrating. We're following what the teacher's doing. Some people think, oh, I can't imitate, but that's how we learn, is when we go to a class, is to imitate what's being demonstrated. That's called technique. That's called processing the technique, because we imitate it and then we regurgitate it into our own style. So when we're alone, we get to just do what we want, however we want, and experiment. Connie, okay, so I'm married to a molecular biologist, right? He's a research scientist. And so he's in the lab every day. And it was Connie Solera who said, hey, think of your studio practice as laboratory time. You're going in and you're experimenting. And you know, when I heard that several years back, I went, oh, you know, I so dig that, because really sometimes we do go into our studio and our creative soul just wants to play around and experiment. You know, what happens if I do this? Or I've never used that medium before. I'm going to explore and experiment with it. So giving ourselves that permission is part of our soul coming out. How do you say it? Unhindered, unchained.
Uninhibited.
Uninhibited. Thank you. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. I think it's important that we see ourselves as contributing in that way. You know, it is a contribution.
Yeah.
So one question I have for you, it's one of your questions that we have on our main list.
Oh, you're so bad.
I know, but I love the question. What is your artist constitution or sensibility? We talk about heart-centered, mind-centered, or body-centered. What are you, Kisma?
Well, I'm heart centered without a doubt because I'm emotional and I feel things.
Okay.
I paint what I see inside, right? Well,
Mhm.
that's all feeling. If you go inside, you're tuning into your intuition, and
Right.
intuition is all based on emotion. It's an emotional pickup, right?
Mhm.
So I'm heart centered. It has
Yeah.
to have meaning for me, or I can't do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. I understand that. I
Yeah.
think that's what I am too.
Oh, definitely you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's more here.
More there. That's right. You feel it. You have to feel it,
Yeah.
you know.
Maybe we can take a second and look at your flowers and mandalas.
My okay, let me bring that up. That's on my current work too. Just have to go back to, I should have had it all queued up, but I didn't. All right, so let me share our desktop again. It's kind of funny to be on this side because I'm usually the one
Yeah.
setting everything up ahead of time, and going, oh, let's look at this. My flowers and mandalas. Okay, so do you have a question about this?
Just about what your process was with that. What was on your mind when when you designed these, or these images came out of you?
Right. Okay, so I got to tell you, first of all, this, I don't know if you can see my cursor.
Yes, I can.
Okay, this one,
I love that
this,
one.
this one,
Mhm.
and this one. These are all, this isn't the full collection. Um, they are part of the transformational art project.
Oh,
So underneath them are old pictures, old paintings. This one, I incorporated the background um, into it, and then, of course, embellished it greatly. But I don't think you can see it. Um, let's see if I can pull it up closer. Right here, this painting, this right here is a flower. This was a muse painting from one of my intentional creativity muse workshops, and she's under here. But this was in her hair and around her, and then these were all the colors of that particular painting, and so I had started doing this, and I realized, oh my gosh, I am painting a quilt. I'm painting a quilt. And it had evolved organically. And I was so thrilled with what came out. And I fell in love with it. I actually love that quilt. And so when I went to this one, I wanted to continue the quilt theme, but it became more of the flowers. And then I painted a girl with her flower hair. Oh, wait. These are just little tiny ones that I did. Let me get, these were smaller ones, but this one again was a large size painting, and so I turned it in. So part of the transformational quilts evolved and became a new collection called Mandalas and Flowers. And uh, um, this curator in England actually contacted me because I had several of these up on my website and on the portfolio. And she said, I want to show that entire collection.
wow.
And so I had a 15 painting collection called Flowers and Mandalas, or Mandalas and Flowers. And it was this, and then the other pieces that aren't being shown. Um, so that's how this came about. But I love this. This whole collection is in my living room, hanging on the walls,
Wow.
on two different walls. And because I made sure that every single painting blended into the next, right? And could tie in through some color. You walk into my living room and it's like, you're in an art gallery in a way, because it's a full-on exhibit, and they're beautiful. And yeah, I love them. I have to be honest and saying I love these. I love these. Yeah.
The one in the middle, the top middle, that flower one reminds me of Hawaiian quilts.
Oh, yes, I can see that. Uh-huh. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Yeah. Well, the background, I wanted it to have a batik fabric feeling,
Yes.
and then what would be known as applique pieces on top of it. Uh, it just really took off.
Mm,
Really
it's
took off.
gorgeous.
Yeah, this one gets a lot of attention. This one got chosen for the Newport Beach city exhibit, along with this one. These two are probably it's a bad paint cut, or whatever. Anyways, these two got shown in Newport Beach city exhibit earlier this year. So,
Beautiful.
yeah, thank you, thank you. Near and dear to my heart. I love this collection. I really do.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
So our next question that I wanted to ask you about is, um, where do you see the future of your work going? What's next for KISMA? Do you know, or do you sort of do that? Does that come to you as you work your way into your studio?
Um, well, this year, it's going fully into my MSG art, the message art. So I've got a wall over here filled with them, and I've got a wall over here filled with them. I have a couple over here that haven't been hung yet. The two little pieces here, and that's going to be an online virtual exhibit. But I don't know. I think I've been hearing. I don't know, Lauren. That's a big question for me.
Still
I
open for you?
It's very open. I'm not even sure where it's all going to take me. Because there are some days where I go, yeah, I'm going to take a break from painting.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a break. Like this month is NaNo, the National Novel Writing Month. I've been involved with it for a number of years now, where you write a 50,000 word novella, right? And I always turn it into a full on novel. So mine word count is 72,000 words. So it ends up being, like 26,000 words a day to write. I take that challenge for myself, and it has resulted in several of my books. And I'm doing it again this year. And so right now, when I get up, I'm giving myself to writing, and then the secondary creativity for me is my painting. But I put myself into a bind this year because I got this MSG thing coming up the second weekend in December. So it's like, yikes, I've only got, I'm going to pick and choose, because I still have four more specific piece message MSG pieces to do, which these take me about a week. They take me from start to finish about a week to do. So they're not hard. They're small pieces. I'm doing small pieces, 8x10s.
Yeah. Well, maybe just to bring us to our last part of the show today, we made it.
Made it.
Maybe you could show us your goddess moons, the goddess and the sacred feminine, but also you didn't talk about the mists. So maybe we'd like to include that in our last little bit of the show today.
Oh yes, because that's where I'm a project that I am moving on, isn't it? Okay, let me bring it up. So every year I do goddess moons. Goddess Moons. On my website, visionaryartistpath.com, I have a goddess and sacred feminine area because I am, I have walked in the woman spirituality goddess arena for the larger part of my life. I had my personal awakening at the age of 14, back to the divine feminine. But so this page is dedicated to that. But I believe it's for women, it's vitally important for us to celebrate through the sisterhood. So every year I offer what's called Goddess Moons, and each year it has a different emphasis. So this year, and it always kicks off in October. So I bring it to the public in October. And then we usually, at winter solstice, around the 20th, 21st, we usually kick off the official program. This year, it's called The Mists, and I'm going to take us to that book page. I hope you can see it. So I'll do a quick check to make sure it's coming out. Give me just a quick minute. I think it's coming. Yes, it did. Okay. Where was I? Current work. No. Yeah, here we go. Well, I don't know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unshow my desk. I'm going to stop the share and I'm going to reshare. I'm going to take you to the page in case it didn't go, that has all the information about the Smash Book, Goddess Moons. It's not Smash Book, it's on the Smash Book page, and I'm getting all tongue twisted. Goddess Moons 2024, which actually has kicked off in a way. We had an info meeting, is also called the Mists Book Club. And $25 donation, not mandatory, appreciated. I don't believe in gouging my artist sisters and making you have to take out a bank loan to do anything with me, which with some people, unfortunately, you have to do. But because I believe it's about sisterhood and creativity and sharing. So right here, it talks about it, but we are going, and the door to join it closes November 15th. This is a special offering I give to the sisterhood. And this year it is incredibly cheap, but it's because it's a book club. We're going to be reading Marion Zimmer Bradley's The Mists of Avalon book. We're going to be having a book club meeting the fourth Saturday of each month to talk about what we've read that month. We do have a schedule, but we're also, I'm coming back to you, we're also going to be doing paintings, sketching, journaling. And for those who are really, really into it, we're also going to be doing priestess circles that are mystical and have a little bit of the magic in it. So it's near and dear to my heart. And I'm really, really excited about it. So I think for me, this is ultra personal, because I first read The Mists of Avalon in 1982 when it came out, that year it came out. And had the great fortune to meet Marion down in Laguna Beach when her daughter lived there at Fahrenheit 451, where I did my first book signing. And because it's all about priestesses and the goddess and sisterhood, it really sort of flavored my personal life. I have worked with Fairy Faith and had created Fairy Faith Network and all that good stuff. So yeah, and Lauren, you're in it, and I'm so excited.
I'm excited too. I can't wait to get started.
Yeah,
It's going to be exciting.
it's going to be very exciting.
Yeah, very fun.
Yeah.
We have a nice group of ladies.
We have a wonderful core group. There's 8 right now, and like I said, November 15th the door closes. So go check it out at visionaryartistpath.com and go to either the goddess webpage or go to Smashbook page and you'll see the information. No, it's not Smashbook. We're actually working in a journal. So, but there's an information video you can watch that gives you the full scoop. Watch it, make contact if you're interested.
Well, that's great, Kisma. Thanks for sharing that. And that brings us to the top of the hour. So maybe we're ready to introduce our next guest for December.
Yeah, we have are you going to introduce her? Do you want to introduce her or am I introducing her?
I'll introduce her. She's your guest.
Okay. Well, first of all, Lauren, thank you for this. This was actually an honor, even though I'm your co-host here at Art Talk. It was truly an honor. And I'm going to share just a little bit about Annie, Annie Angel. She is a friend of mine, and she is a local artisan. And she does angel readings, but she also creates sacred jewelry. She is so wonderful. And so she, her artistic expression comes in a different way, doesn't it? And so we're going to bring her on December 7th for the closing of our 2023 Art Talk year. And I want to mention something. We've already got January, February, and March lined up with a powerhouse schedule. And I'm going to tell you, because turnaround is fair, our January Art Talk kicks off with me interviewing Lauren right there, Lauren Small.
That's exciting.
And then do you want to just say who our February and then our March guests will be?
Our February guest is Jennifer Bonto, and our March guest is Catherine Rains.
Yes, and hopefully,
excited to hear from her.
Yeah, and we'll be putting that schedule also on the webpage. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Kisma. It was very brave of you and courageous to come on air. I know it's not easy, but you did a great job.
Well, thank you, Lauren. It's because of you. And thank you, viewers, for tuning in. It's really appreciated. And I hope that you enjoyed this month's Art Talk.
Yeah.
Until we meet again.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.